we have a few questions for you. So I've got a few questions, and I'd like to start off by saying, Jayanti, you actually have been close, very close to Sakar Baba, and on the stage when Bapdada was around. And many times, some of us have experienced Bapdada from a distance, and some of us have not experienced Bapdada in person, but have a different era of experience Bapdada. So would you be able to share with us your experience and how it actually benefited you?
Om Shanti. I think if it wasn't for Sakar Baba, I maybe wouldn't be here today. And so yes, all credit to all of you who didn't meet Sakar Baba, and you get 25% more marks than those who did. Baba said that, not me. Baba actually mentioned that. But yes, for me it was Baba's drishti that gave me that experience of going beyond and being in Param Dham and feeling the experience of connecting with God. And so that very, very powerful experience transformed my life. And so I know that the love that Sakar Baba gave, the blessings that Sakar Baba gave, and then the huge blessings that I've had from Bapdada have kept me going all these years. When I started my journey, I thought it would be a short time. I started in 68, and I thought that, within 10 years, the world would have changed. And multiply 6 times, and we're still here. But yes, now I do see how time is exactly what Baba's saying, that it's very, very close. But yes, I know that Baba's blessings have been very powerful, and every time I received those blessings, they gave me a big push up. And so every time it was another lift, and so on. But it was Sakar Baba who laid the foundation for my life today. And I know that those who didn't meet Sakar Baba or haven't had the experience of meeting Baba in Sakar, it's still possible for you to take drishti from Baba in Baba's room and have a very, very powerful experience and feel Baba carrying you and lifting you to a different dimension. So Baba works in different ways at different times. So when I came to Baba, I thought that the dadis had had so many years and I don't have so many. But today I also see that there are many who are coming today, and they've come almost to the end of Sangamyug. But they can still, like Baba said today in the Murli, you can still move ahead and go very, very fast. But I treasure the experiences that I had the fortune of having.
Have access basically to Baba now 24 hours a day from the subtle region. And so what I want to know is, how can we maximize that time? So as we go about our daily tasks, how can we really maximize that time and take power? How do you do it?
The easiest way is to play with all the relationships. So early morning, it's the mother and the father, then it's the teacher. Then through the day, let Baba be your friend. And you know how there's always a commentary going on in the mind about various things. And so just keep that commentary, instead of directing it to a human being, direct it to Baba. So have a chat with Baba as you do whatever you need to do. You're walking along, have a chat. You're doing things that don't require your intellect, again, communicate and have a chat. And if you keep chatting with Baba, that keeps you very close in Baba's presence and Baba's company.
Wonderful. I think, we're so used to having so many different relationships throughout the day, and so definitely invoking Baba all the time and adding him to all the various relationships we take on, I think it would make definitely something easier. So, in the blessing today, Baba said, and he gave the example of how Father Brahma was busy doing service, but he would listen to news and be in solitude. He would understand the essence of 1 hour within 5 minutes, and then give everyone the experience of introversion, and then go into solitude, but also give everyone the experience of happiness. My question is, how do we give everyone happiness whilst we're in solitude? Because in my understanding, solitude is something that is a little bit more serious, and so when we go into solitude, we become a bit serious. Well, I get a little bit serious because I want to focus and concentrate. But how do I remain light and joyful at the same time?
I think many of you would remember that Dadi had said that she spends 80% of her time inside and only 20% of her time outside. But the 80% of the time inside was giving her the energy and the power to be able to do what she was doing outside. So, learning from Dadi, I think that must be how Baba did it also. That any moment Baba would be inside, connecting with Shiv Baba. Maybe Shiv Baba was sitting there, maybe Shiv Baba was at that moment taking a break in Paramdham. But Brahma Baba would be connecting with Baba, and so filling everything that Shiv Baba had. And so then, when it was time to be with the children, Baba was able to give of himself. Not that he forgot Baba at that time, but he would bring Baba with him. And so everybody would experience the joy and the love, but also you knew that Baba was very deep inside. And so, and I think that, when people would go into stories, it still happens. People go into stories, but at that moment, Baba must have been going inside. Baba was looking at them, or maybe looking at something else, but Baba wasn't focusing on the story, the narrative that was a long, long narrative. Baba could understand what the person was trying to say in essence. And so I think Baba would have been more in silence. And then when it was time for Baba to give something, Baba would have given it.
Yeah, that's a true art. Because most of us tend to be like 80% outside and 20% inside. Obviously, I'm sure we're a bit better than that, but I don't know.
Dadi used to say that if she didn't have that 80% inside, nobody would be interested in listening to her.
Good point. So my next question is, Brahma Baba spent a lot of time on his personal efforts, and I don't know if you have an experience or a story or personal observation of what exactly he did.
The one thing I know is that Baba had very little sleep. So when Baba talks about being the conqueror of sleep, Baba isn't just telling us to do it, but Baba did that himself. And so if you reduce, not with hatha yoga, not with force, but in a very natural way, then you get a lot more time. So I think Baba expanded time for himself in that way. But again, a story that some of you will remember, Dadi shared how at one point Didi was occupied with some other work, and so it was Baba who had, whenever Baba was meeting groups, Baba would need Toli, Baba would need something else. So Didi had asked her to be with Baba for that period. And so from early, Baba had started meeting groups. And a couple of hours later, and there were still several people waiting to meet Baba. And Baba asked Dadi, are there many people still there? And Daddy had to say, yes, Baba, there are. And so Baba said, okay, just get me a tangerine. And so she peeled a tangerine and brought it to Baba. And Baba sat there quietly, just for a few minutes, took up a slice and was quietly sucking the slice. And you could see that Baba was not just giving sustenance to the body, but Baba was giving sustenance to the soul. And within a few minutes, Baba looked very fresh. And Baba said, okay, child, that's enough. Just had a few slices, no more. That's enough. Now you can call them. Call the next person. And so just taking a few minutes of silence, Baba was able to recharge that battery, and so Baba could continue to do whatever was needed. And so Baba had this technique of being able to give and give, but also to be able to recharge. So I think that that's something we can all learn from. Today we have traffic control, which has been made into a system. At that time, of course, there was no system as such, but Baba used that method. Pause for a few minutes and recharge yourself.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea of taking that moment. I've started practicing taking moments when I really feel like I'm into something and just all of a sudden just stop, just randomly. And I think it really does make a difference. But Baba is amazing, and well, to get there, I'm sure we'll get there. So what does it mean to surrender our intellect to God? So is it like relying on our intuition or something more subtle where I'm constantly, continuously getting touching from Baba?
The danger about intuition and catching subtle touchings is, to what extent is it my sanskars playing up? To what extent is it that my mind thinks about a certain outcome and I'm moving in that direction? Or is it really Baba? And so when it's for personal effort, it's very easy to check. Just think about Baba's Murli. And Baba's Murli will tell you what is the right way to make effort. Because even today there are people who say, I just want to sit in Baba's room for hours and hours and hours. And I've never heard Baba say that. Have you ever heard of Murli in which Baba says that? Baba says, do the karma, do whatever you need to do, but also stay in yoga. Baba will say many different things about yoga, but Baba will always balance it up with relationships and connections and service. So what comes into my mind about my own personal effort, I can check with the Murli, rather than just thinking, well, I know best, better than what Baba's telling me. And then the second thing is that if it's related to service, no service can happen just me on my own. It's always in the context of many others with me. And so for that, Baba always said, if somebody came, even with avyakt bapdada, somebody came with an idea, then Baba would say to them, discuss it with your team. Discuss it. I heard Nirvabhai ask Baba many questions, and so Baba would say, discuss it with the other brothers. And when the RCs told Baba something, we're thinking about this and this, Baba had asked, did you discuss it? What came out of your discussion? And so from that I see that if it's just my intuition, it can be very good, but maybe it's not the right time. And in any aspect of service, it has to be with consensus. Baba had inspirations for many things, Sakar Baba, and they happened 50 years later, 70 years later even. They didn't happen at that time. So these are two ways in which you can understand whether really it's a touching from Baba or whether it's your own inner mind speaking. Because so many have been caught out with that.
I think this is a valid point and a really important lesson, for everyone, because that manmat tends to try and take over, but Srimat is always best. So Brahma Baba had the vision of destruction in early days, and then instead of giving into sorrow, because if you can just imagine this vision, he actually rose above it and surrendered his life to Baba. Sorrow seems to be a source that triggers the vices. Is it correct to say Brahma Baba put his attainments in front of him and that's what allowed him to overcome that sorrow?
The sorrow that Baba felt when he saw destruction happening, Baba was able to then see, that's half the story of seeing the old world disappear. And then what Baba saw was that it was as if out of the ashes of the old, the new, beautiful, green, fertile world came up. And then he saw the stars coming down, and you know the story. And it was actually the deities coming down. So I think that Baba didn't focus on this bit. Baba focused on the beautiful things that lie ahead. And so yes, you can say it would be the attainment, but it was actually that vision of a better world that made Baba surrender and give everything to God and be an instrument for that better world. So I think that sometimes we lose sight of the vision, and that then gets us stuck wherever it is we are. So if I hold that vision of why I'm here, why am I doing this, it's very important. Then I'll be motivated to go beyond. But also when there is sorrow, then it's a reality that God can remove that sorrow. God's love can remove that sorrow. But also, yes, thinking of attainments. But the other thing that is also reality, we carry mixture of memories, sorrow and beauty. And the people who keep bringing up the experiences of sorrow again and again, is like you're writing and you repeat what you're writing, and you repeat it and you repeat it and you repeat it. So what's going to happen is going to become stronger and stronger and become indelible. And so this is what we sometimes do. Something's happened and we hold on to it and we keep repeating it, maybe in our mind, but also in words with others. And I'm not just passing on that sorrow then, but I'm underlining it for myself also. And yet, what Dadi did was to think about the experiences she had with Baba. And 50 years later, 60 years later, she was sharing experiences of the early days. And she would speak about it in such a way that it became alive for all of us, like the Padma story. So when Dadi shared her stories, it was like Baba was here. And so if I keep repeating the things of sorrow in my mind, it's going to become deeper and deeper. But if I start changing my track and thinking about things of joy and love and truth and beauty, then they begin to take over and the others begin to fade. And so Baba never repeated stories of the past of sorrow, but Baba always had that experience of Baba's love, the attainment, but also the future vision.
Sometimes attainments are, they're quite further away. So, like how Baba saw that Golden Age is still going to come and we're still waiting for it, but we're kind of not ready, so it's fine. But really, if the attainments are not in a gross form, how can we, keep it always in the forefront of the mind? Because some people think with the intellect and some people are, more with their heart. For people with their heart who think and do things with their heart, it's a bit more easier because it's fine. But with the intellect, to explain this attainment that, experience love, it's very difficult to do that. Do you have a tip for that?
I think it's important to just have a lot of gratitude. And when I'm experiencing gratitude, love comes up in my heart in a very natural way. And so at one point, Baba had told us in Madhuban, write down what you're experiencing in Madhuban. Write down the promises you're making to Baba in Madhuban and read them every day. Baba gave that very specific instruction. And so what Baba was reminding us is that it's so easy to slip, forget all the things that are good, and negativity comes back with force because we've been surrounded by negativity. The soul carries negativity, and so the triggers are there for the negativity. And so what I need to do is to every morning emerge my fortune, every morning emerge my attainments, and every morning just say thank you to Baba. And so that feeling of gratitude will keep those attainments alive, and they'll carry me further.
I've tried to hold a gratitude journal, and it absolutely is worthwhile. Even if you say write 2 things or 3 things, and you don't want to write a whole list because it might take too much time, and then that goes out of hand. But it definitely does help.
It actually changes the way the brain pattern works. So yes, the gratitude exercise that many of you know about, it's very, very beneficial.
Absolutely. But there's also something else. Soul conscious is the solution for all problems. And so, every time we've been in the cycle and we've come here for so long and we've been trained to look at really the defects so we can fix it. Like they say, without the darkness, how would you see the light? Now it's only time to be in the light. So having seen the darkness, can you give us some tips on how we can retrain that mind to only see the light through soul consciousness? How can we bring soul consciousness alive?
I think most people are aware of traffic control and practice traffic control. So at that time, for that short space of time, don't just remember Baba, but also check what was the percentage of soul consciousness from, say, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. And if I can just look back, then I'll see maybe it was 5%, maybe it was a bit more. But that's the stimulus that will then make me take it deeper, take it further. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Soul consciousness slips away like this, like Baba says, it's like holding mercury in your hand, it rolls around. So, can I monitor to what extent I am truly soul conscious? Otherwise, at the end of the day, oh yes, I think I was soul conscious, but I'm kidding myself. And if I'm actually writing it down, and even if I do this for a month, it'll give me a very good idea of where I'm at. And then if you continue after a month, even better. But at least try it for a month. Not 3 days, not 5 days. Try it for a month.
Actually, Brahma Baba used to write, I am a soul, and this one's a soul, and that one's a soul, everywhere, all the time. Do you think we should actually also start writing this? Because, as you said, it's like mercury, it just slips away.
I've never tried writing, I'm a soul, I'm a soul, I'm a soul. But I have tried the exercise of monitoring soul consciousness. So, yes, if you've got lots of spare paper and lots of spare time, you can start writing. But it's not something that I've done.
Okay, in the Mulri, it said that we should become stable like Angad, but not stuck. In fact, we should constantly be progressing in Brahmin life. It has been my experience that sometimes we're like that, sometimes we're a bit higher, and then sometimes quite low, and then sometimes we're completely intoxicated. So how do we keep that stability and still progress constantly?
It's so easy for the human mind to get stuck in something. And then, it's your comfort zone and everything's okay, so there isn't that stimulation. But if truly I'm God's child and God's student, think about how often Baba emphasizes this is a school, this is a university, you have to study. I think every single Murli talks about study. And so what is studying? Reading the Murli, listening to the Murli is one thing. But can I go into the depths of the Murli and really understand why Baba said this? What would be the thread of the Murli? Where did Baba begin? Where is Baba taking me through the Murli? And so if I extract the jewels from the Murli, then my intellect is constantly stimulated. And through that, of course, then that has an impact in what I say and do. And so that makes a big difference. Otherwise, it's difficult to shake people out of their comfort zone. It's okay. But the Murli is the stimulus. And also then it means that I don't get bored. There's always something that's interesting for me to experiment with. Anything else is always going to be, limited for a certain period of time. But if my foundation is the Murli and love for the Murli and study of the Murli, then that's always going to carry me forward.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's the experience I felt when we had this question on what to remember when we're actually thinking about that limitless love. And the only thing I could really, really think about is Baba, because otherwise everything is limited. It's temporary for such short time. So yes, diving into that limitless love. So if you don't mind taking us to do a commentary on being stable, constant, and in solitude.
Okay. This is actually preparation for the bhog, is that right? So should we prepare the stage first, or no?
This is a meditation commentary, and then we will do.
Okay. I reflect on the experiences I've had since the early morning, and Baba's life, Baba's versions float into the mind, and I see how the foundation for Baba was love for one and sharing that love with all. For the connection of the heart was always with one. Baba's faith was immovable, unshakable. Storms came, and Baba would say, the Father is responsible. The Father will take care. No questions, no wavering. No fluctuation. Total faith in the Father. Total faith in the benevolence of Brahma. Nothing new. This too shall pass. Faith in one's destiny, the fortune of belonging to God, and knowing that simply holding God's hand is going to lead to victory. Baba, always seeing the bigger picture, not stuck in the limited little things of sanskaras or situations. Always aware that establishment takes time, but the destiny is fixed. It will happen. Seeing Baba, the deep thought is to be able to follow in the Father's footsteps. And develop that same awareness that Baba had. So I check the quality of my own faith. Faith in God, faith in Brahma, and faith in my own fortune. And in silence, as I go deeper and deeper within, I realize deeply that it is inevitable. The age of truth, the golden age, Satyug, has to come. And as I hold Baba's hand, Baba will guide me to my home and to that world of truth and love again. I simply have to remember Baba and the drama, and I know that whatever scenes may come between now and the journey back home, they're part of the drama, and I detach and I observe the whole story of the drama moving slowly in front of me, staying with Baba. I'm up above, and the scenes of the world are down below. And as the scenes unfold, each moment brings it a step closer to the moment we go home. Staying with Baba and watching the drama, just simply being the observer. Nothing of the world out there can pull me down or raise questions in my mind. But with Baba's power and company, just as Baba is stable, I can be stable also. No sorrow, just simply an instrument to share God's light and compassion with the world. I keep this image of being with Baba up above the planet and the drama unfolding down below. And each time I invoke this memory of being with Baba up above, the scenes of drama will pass by, and leave me untouched. Om Shanti.